I'm now going to ask a very, what I think is probably a very difficult question and answer. Juno, I know both of you, and I know I've heard from your father, Isla, what Juno meant to you, and Sumay, I'm sure Juno meant a lot to you as well. We've talked so far, obviously, about what you lose that you don't want to lose, but Juno Juno died in the fire, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry. Your father had told me about that, and my understanding is it was Juno basically who barked. How old was Juno, by the way?
About 8 or 9.
It was Juno who barked that saved the family's life, right?
Mm.
And then we understand, when I think we saw that in the video, that your father went back, God bless your father, went back to try to save the dog. And that's when his hair caught on fire, which we saw in the video, right?
It was singed. The fire kind of like blew up after, because the door had locked, and so basically he had broken the door open. But the oxygen just, yeah, but the oxygen that came in when the front door was open basically made the fire just like go up on top of his head, and that's what singed.
So let's talk about two things from that. First of all, watching your father even brave his life to do that. What did it feel like watching your dad try to do that? What was that like? Were you able to really process that as it was happening?
Not really. Yeah, not really. I mean, I think it was. I mean, if we were able to go in there and save her, then we would have. But the moment that he opened the door and it was just flames everywhere, we knew it would just wouldn't be possible
Well, he is
without
without what.
without him getting hurt or
Yeah.
possibly.
So, not to spend a lot of time on this, for me, I'm just projecting as a father. That's pretty heroic. To feel heroic that a dad, we always think of the dad, having the dad there, or the mom as well, of course, to be our protector, and watching. And now, well, now that we have time to reflect on it, now when you think about it, pretty heroic of your dad, right? Thank God nothing happened to him, right?
Well, he wouldn't have done anything stupid.
He
Yeah.
would, he would, yeah.
The moment we saw everything just on fire in the house, he knew that he wouldn't go in there. The
So let's,
moment I saw the flames just rushing,
yeah,
like I saw the flames through the door,
yeah.
I knew that this wasn't going to be like a movie where everything turned out so perfectly.
So let's talk about the loss of Juno. Can we do that? I know it's hard, but we loss touches us all in different ways. For you all, that was probably the big loss of your life, I would think, right? And not something particularly you loved your dog. Your dog saved your life. And so what was it like finally realizing that Juno was killed and that he's out of your life, and the loss of that, and how was that then and how is that now for the two of you?
I think I probably was the first one that realized that she probably wasn't going to make it. My dad was in the backyard trying to hose the fire in the deck.
Yeah.
My mom was calling 911, and um and I don't even know where Isla was, but I just remember screaming that Juno was in the house.
And I'm looking at, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sumi.
And I was just trying to get get somebody's attention um
Yeah.
because I knew everyone was preoccupied and I just didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Um and and so she stopped barking, and
I know it's hard, honey. I know. It's okay. It's okay.
I just knew that she wasn't going to get out.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. And Isla, I'm sorry. I know what this dog meant to you. Terrible. Terrible. Glad you have Stuffy and you're holding Stuffy right now. Um, what is it like for you, Isla? I know. Have you not talked about this much until now?
No, we have.
Yeah,
We talk a lot as a family.
yeah. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about talking this conversation about Juno and talking as a family. Clearly, a near-death experience for both of you as well. And now we're talking about Juno, and so, Isla, what is it like for you talking about Juno? I know how attached you were. Your dad told me how what Juno meant for you.
Well, one thing is that we immediately had a funeral for her. And
Mm.
we didn't do anything like a lot of people in that situation would have been like, oh, she was an old dog, and oh, we can get another dog and try and make it seem like it wasn't a big loss, but it really was. And I think if if we had tried to if we did that, it wouldn't be fair for her. And just to reduce our pain, to try to undermine the value of her life, to help us cope with it, is not something that we ever wanted to do, because it just wasn't true. And we made it a point to to feel the suffering, to feel the pain, and to know that 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 was what is that's us valuing her life, and we made a point to do that.
Do you have a picture of Juno that everybody can see? Because we're talking about documenting things. Is it helpful to have pictures of Juno with you all and as part of your memory of Juno and what Juno meant? Was it a rescue dog, by the way, or was this a rescue dog that Juno when you got
It
her?
was, yeah, we got her as a rescue dog. We did a live stream on after the fire, and we put her picture in the thumbnail. She's still in our banner for the WEquil Family YouTube channel.
Well, we all honor Juno.
Yeah. If I hadn't adopted her, when we first got her, she had like heartworms, and she like was really shy, and it took her like a year for me to potty train her. If we hadn't She never got potty trained. if we hadn't adopted her, she would have been bought down. And so I think we did her a favor, even though she had to die like that.
Yeah, it's interesting, Isla. Life is so ironic, right? Here was a rescue. You rescued Juno, and Juno rescued the two of you and your family, right? It was in the middle of the pandemic, so everybody wanted dogs. Right.
And she was one of the only ones left, because nobody wanted a dog that she just grew up in the street, so she didn't know how to love humans. And it took her, I remember when we first got her, I would always try to pet her, and she would go to the other side of the room and lay down, because she just didn't have a lot of she didn't see humans as people that would show compassion towards her, because they hadn't for most of her life. But after around like 8 months, she would finally come up to us, and when she learned to love us and learned to know that we loved her too. And so I think that Isla did a really amazing thing for her.
But we didn't know if we wanted to get a dog. It's like, as a parent, we're just, it's a lot of work. And then Isla made a video about like how to take care of a dog, and it was like a whole movie, and it had slides and pictures and music, and it was just like, at that point we couldn't say no, even though Isla was the one who said she was the one who really wanted the dog. Just about every single adult parent, anybody over the age of 10 was basically telling us this is a crazy idea to let an 8-year-old. I'm so proud. So proud. of this girl. I'm so proud of you. So proud of what you did.
Oh, Jonah, thank you for saving my life. You were such a great dog. So when she started coming up to us and wanting us to pet her, it was an incredible change. And I'm just glad that we were able to give her a good life. And I'm thankful that we're alive because of her. We're never gonna forget you. I think when we got Judah, I didn't know that she was gonna save our life one day. And when we woke up and the house was burning, and I realized Judah was still in the house, and we could have saved her if we had gotten there earlier. And she saved our life. She really did, and it costed her own. And it's not fair. And I'm sorry, Judah. I'm sorry this had to happen. Because you were such a good dog in the end.
Isla did a really amazing thing for Juna, so she could have the experience of having a family that loves her. It was Isla who adopted the dog. She submitted the application. She made it happen. She picked up her poop every single day when Juna would poop under my dad's desk almost every other day.
How old? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Isla was 8 years old when she adopted Juna, and she would clean up the pee. She would clean up the poop every time that Juna pooped in the house. And most everybody before we adopted Juna said that she wouldn't be able to take care of her and that eventually it would just fall on the parents and she wouldn't be responsible enough, but she did every single day.
Look at the way you hold Stuffy, man. You're full of love, Isla. How's it feel listening to your sister say all that? You two have a very special bond, don't you, the two of you?
She helped me a lot during the fire. I think both my dad and my sister, they were kind of like holding me up.
You're very special, the two of you. You know, I remember when we met, and we've never had the experience we're having together right now, but you're a breath of fresh air, both of you, and the way you are and your family and the love that you have with each other is just for all of us to see that, the importance of that, the sisterhood, the parenthood. You're beautiful, both of you. I love you both. And I think anybody listening to you right now just wants to give you both a big hug. And which takes me to where I want to go now, which is loss and grief and all the discussions with your parents and having a near-death experience. And so where has this taken you both in terms of, we learned, what are we still learning, and what are you feeling now, having this experience and all this loss? Oh, who is that? Is that yours? Sumay, is
This
that?
is my mom gave this to me for Christmas.
And what's her, she or he?
Its name is Squashy.
Hi, Squashy. So what is Squashy and Stuffy? Are they friends like the two of you?
Yeah, they're friends.
Maybe they could shake hands for everybody right now. Let's see them bond with each other. That's nice. That's nice. So it's nice for you, Sumay, to have your friend, right?
Yeah, well, I think when I was younger, I did have a lot of like connections with stuffed animals and stuff, but honestly, after the fire, it's kind of made me more just valuing my family and just that connection that we have.
Right.
And I think after all of this, it also is, I think it's a very valuable learning opportunity for like what happens when you go through something like this, where at any given moment you don't actually really know how much you've processed it. And after, for 2 weeks, it just hadn't really hit us yet. And I think that it's really important to give yourself a lot of time and space to because you just don't even know like how much you've really actually processed an event like that. And it was kind of like and yeah, I mean, I remember when we were on the cruise, and it was just kind of like there would be moments where we were like, how, like, it seems like we've just forgotten what's happened.
People don't know about that, by the way. When the fire occurred, like you said, we saw the video, you didn't know where to go. Neighbors offered to have you come in. You got in the car, you went for, what was it, McDonald's? Was that what I forgot already? Was it McDonald's that you went
Yeah,
to?
yeah.
And then you went on a cruise right after that, or I remember
Well,
hearing.
that was something that we had planned before the fire happened, like months in advance,
Okay,
and it was like scheduled for the week after. Um,
amazing.
yeah, and which was it was very serendipitous, because then we didn't have to worry about housing or food for like a week.
Talk about serendipitous. Wow.
Yeah, and so it was very strange, like after the fire, like Isla and I, we did do like one taekwondo class, and I just remember like for after the fire happened on the cruise, I was basically like constantly cold for a week. And
Mm.
when I had tried to go to a taekwondo class, I like I barely had the physical energy, because it just took like such a big mental and physical toll, and that is something that I never really thought about. Where it just, going through something like that, it had a huge toll on just like your like your body physically, which was really strange, in some ways, because nothing had happened to us, but just the mental toll had resulted in something like that.
And you had lost Juno, and you had your own near-death experience. And so, was a week before you went on the cruise? Was it a week before you went on the cruise, or did you
uh
go?
Around there, yeah, I don't remember exactly.
What did you do? What did you do that week? Where did you stay? How were people responding to you? What happened in that first week before you went on the cruise?
Well, our neighbors across the street, who immediately just gave us a place to stay when the fire happened. We stayed with them for it was like 2 nights
Mhm.
that we stayed with them, and then we had the cruise. So that was kind of what happened the first week.
So yeah, you're on this cruise now, away from it all, and then you're all together, and there were other people on the cruise too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You interact with them, or you pretty much stayed together as a family, grieving together? I mean, that was just kind of an odd thing to all of a sudden be on a cruise with other people. You just had this experience. What was that
No,
like?
they were mostly like older retirees, because school was still going on, so there weren't really any like kids or families there. But yeah, we had a lot of the cruise was just having discussions and really talking through and processing as a family. I think that was really important, to have those discussions and really talk through like what were we thinking, what were we feeling, um and also and so like yeah, also my dad, when we were on the ship, like he was just going around meeting everybody, and he like was able to say, he like knew a bunch of people's names when we
That's
were
that's
going off of the cruise. But I think that it was important to not just like close ourselves off from other people when when that happened to us, because it didn't, I think that there are a few ways you can go when something like that happens. You could just think like, oh, well, this happened to me and everybody should like feel bad for me and
Wallow in a pit
yeah,
of pity.
yeah, but I think that it actually really helped us to instead just kind of realize that like our own suffering, it's also is kind of an anecdotal representation of just human suffering and the human condition as well. And that helped us to have compassion for other people. And so we had met a lot of people on the cruise and talked to them. And there was a girl with Down syndrome that we were just playing with her and talking with their family and trying to connect with other people. And that in feeling empathy for those people helped us in trying to process our own suffering. And some of those people actually even came to visit us after the cruise.
So nice. And I was going to say, like, how has it been with other people, the community, and you guys are building a new house now, right? You're in an apartment now.
Yeah.
How have people been for you going through this, and what has it been like for you in your relationship? Obviously, that's really touching about the people from the cruise. That's amazing. How about people in your community, your friends?
All of our neighbors, the night of the fire, we got 9 bags of donated clothes from all our neighbors, just like immediately. And so, I mean, we're still wearing donated clothes because we just had so many clothes from people that we didn't need to buy much else. And they were all incredibly supporting, and so it's been just really amazing to see just everybody talking, like just being so supportive and trying to help. And also after the fire, Isla started a business called Positive Pooch Sitting, because we wanted to get a new dog, but it's kind of different taking care of one in an apartment. It's much harder because you can't just let them out in the backyard if they need to go to the bathroom. It's especially hard to potty train. So what Isla did is she started a business where she would
a dog sitting
business.
Wow.
And I think I'm really proud of Isla in terms of like she did all the research and thinking about like, oh, this isn't going to be the same as just taking care of a dog in a house. But she was like, oh, I realized I need more practice. And she did a bunch of research, and she just immediately started making flyers to pass out to people. And so we've been sitting, Isla's been sitting, but I've been enjoying the dogs.
Isla, tell us about that. How many dogs are you sitting for, and what's this been like for you? And
we're like sitting a lot of dogs. Like one of my regular dogs that we're sitting is a dog named Bella, and she's really cute and tiny, and you can like carry her around the place. And then I also, like today, I am walking a dog named Luna at 4:30, and it's just really nice to have some dogs around because I really enjoy spending time with them and like connecting with them and creating a relationship, because a lot of the dogs I do have we do a lot of dog sitting. Like every week I walk the dog, and so that I can like kind of connect with them and build a relationship. And I think it's really nice to have a dog around sometimes again.
Has that helped your grief with Juno to be doing this? And people learning about how dealing with loss and grief, that's something that has really been helpful to you, I assume?
Yeah.
Are you going to get another dog when you get your house? Is that your plan, or?
Eventually, but it's really nice sitting dogs as well, because it's kind of like you have your own dog, many of your own dogs, but you don't habituate to their cuteness because it's kind of like switching it up a bit. So
maybe you're not really maybe you're not ready to replace Juno yet, right? Maybe this is a nice transition, right, to do this first.
Yeah.
Just very briefly, for people, the transformation of near-death experience for two beautiful young folks like you, and the changes, the transformations. Is there anything you want to say that have been, and probably still doing? I mean, we've already touched on a lot of them. Anything you want to add to what people ought to do in terms of learning about loss and grief and how to deal with it, and where it's taking you? And I mean, because your business kept going, I know, WEquil kept going, right?
Yeah.
But is there anything else you can add to what we've said about loss and change and transformation?